Chris Christie, the former Republican governor of New Jersey, continues to pound Trump again and again and again. And he's saying a lot of things that make sense, but it doesn't seem to be helping his poll numbers, which we are going to look at. I like these Chris Christie interviews because they are just a reminder that even though he's corrupt, and even though I don't agree with him on so much when it comes to policy, he's operating in the real world, and Republicans can operate in the real world. They often choose not to, but they can. Let's listen to Christie giving his thoughts on what he believes is in Trump's mind about these criminal cases that he is up against. This was from an MSNBC interview yesterday.
Part of what the Department of Justice has always done under all of the attorneys general that I've seen in my lifetime is if we offer you a plea, which I'm certain they will, and you turn it down and you take us to trial and you're convicted, that judge is sending you to jail. And I think that's what he goes to bed every night thinking, every night. And all this bravado and everything else, I've known him for 22 years. And when I was doing these cases in New Jersey and I would put political figures in jail, he would say to me, I could never do that. I could never go to jail. And I'm telling you, no matter what he says, no matter how he's bragging and going on about him not being afraid, he goes to bed every night thinking about the sound of that jail cell door closing behind him. So the point of all that, Willie, is to say, when push comes to shove, I'm not so sure he won't take a plea.
All right. And by the way, Trump taking a plea would be just I'm not even ready to seriously have that conversation yet, even though Trump's already been arrested twice and possibly will be again in multiple trials and all that. I'm not even ready to have that conversation because it's mind blowing to think about the failed former president taking a plea. But that's Chris Christie's perspective. Chris Christie also weighing in on why he sees Trump as a danger to the country. Of course, it would have been nice for Chris Christie to skip the 4 years of sucking up to Trump and go directly to this. He didn't do that. For 4 years, he sucked up and he said positive things. But at least he's saying it now.
Do you think he's a danger to the country?
Well, I don't want him to be president. So, yeah, I mean, the fact is that he's a guy who has shown over the course of time, and even more particularly, I'd say, Mike, in his post-presidency.
True.
That he is detached from reality in this respect. He continues to say, and he said this the other day in response to a question when Brett Baer asked him, how are you going to win back the suburban women voters that you lost in 2020 to Joe Biden? And he said, first off, I didn't lose in 2020. So we don't need a candidate as Republicans who's going to continue to look backwards and try to refight the 2020 election. He's even in the race he won in 2016, he's trying to refight the Nevada election. And imagine saying in that interview yesterday in Nevada, he called it a disgraceful state. Well, that's an interesting approach to trying to win their electoral votes. By the way, you people are disgraceful. Vote for me, please. I mean,
listen, Chris Christie is right, but sadly, it's not sadly for him, it's not translating to polling support. If we look at the latest averages of recent polling, Trump's still between 52 and 53. DeSanctimonious is at 21, and Chris Christie is at 2.5%. 2.5%. Yes, 150% increase over the 1% where he found himself some time ago, but it is not going to be enough to get him that nomination. We'll continue following Chris Christie and everybody's campaigns. If you've been getting crushed in the markets lately, like many people have, you were probably happy to hear that Treasury yields have been surging. Right now, you can get a 5% yield on Treasury bills, which is higher than most high-yield savings accounts I've seen. And unlike a high-yield savings account, Treasury bills are a fixed-rate asset, so you know what you're getting at the time of purchase. But buying U.S. Treasuries can be very complicated, or at least it was, because our sponsor, Public.com, lets you buy Treasury bills in seconds right from your phone and put your cash to work. Keep in mind that Treasury bills are government-backed securities considered one of the safest investments around. When you buy them on Public, they are securely stored at the Bank of New York Mellon, the world's largest custodian bank and security services company. Plus, there are no minimum hold periods or settlement delays. You can access funds anytime. If you keep it invested, Public will automatically roll over your investments at maturity, so you have one thing you don't have to think about. Go to public.com/Pacman to start getting that 5% yield on your cash. The link is down below.